And coming back to where we started with all these conspiracy theories about COVID-19, I think that we shouldn't dismiss conspiracy theories too easily. They often represent deep and sometimes justified fears that humans have. Now, the idea that COVID-19 was created in order to implant people with computer chips to control them, this is ridiculous in many different ways. But it represents a real and realistic fear of surveillance technology. And it is, I think, true that one of the consequences of the pandemic, unintentional, for a minute, I don't think anybody planned it. But I think that it is a reality that we see a huge rise in the implementation and acceptance of surveillance technology all over the world. And this understanding of these conspiracy theories, I actually think, conspiracy theories is something somebody else has. I never have conspiracy theories. I have legitimate concerns. And I think this is a legitimate concern, that COVID-19, even though it wasn't intended or planned, will result in much more surveillance of people.
Right.
When people say to me, what else, given that in 2015 I talked about this pandemic, they say, okay, what else is worrisome about the future that we ought to be ready for? Of course, climate change is one answer. There will be future pandemics. I do think bioterrorism is something the world isn't as worried about as it should be. So if this idea of, okay, the conspiracy theory that a human created this thing led to brilliant investments to prevent bioterrorism, then I'd actually say, wow, this conspiracy theory, even though it was nuts, led governments on our behalf to bring together lots of resources and experts. And it is an interesting trade-off that if you want to stop bioterrorism, there's a little bit of surveillance where you're watching people in laboratories trying to make sure, so can you have benign surveillance like that to stop something very, very bad? Just like we watch, the people who get to mess around with nuclear weapons, I hope have them under very serious surveillance.
That there's a difference between surveilling people who are working in a lab and people who are just walking down the street.
You're right. And I hope we can draw the line there.
Yeah, we won't. We probably won't. I agree with Yuval in the sense that this will be an excuse to do a widespread surveillance operation. So we have that to look forward to.